Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Rom-Com Love podcast. We are so delighted to have special guest with us today, Neil Crone. Welcome, Neil. So lovely to
Hey
have
guys,
you.
thank you. Lovely to be here. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I have to say, both of us have been rolling with your character, so we can't wait to talk about some of our favorite moments and to dive right on in.
Let's do it.
Yes, Neil, like Catherine said, we absolutely love When Hope Calls. We so enjoyed season three. And we had many moments where we laughed, of course, and we swooned. So we would first like to know what is a moment or two that made you swoon, and what's a moment that made you laugh?
In this season,
Yes.
okay. Wow, swooning. Uh, well, as far as Ronnie's character goes, Ronnie probably came very close to swooning when he realized how much money Sam had. That was just sitting there ripe for the picking. Um, there were, I mean, so many wonderful moments in terms of laughter. It's a very fun set for starters. Everybody there is just a really lovely person and is very happy to be there. I was very privileged this past season to work with John McLaren a lot.
Mhm.
And John and I get along like a house on fire. And we found so many wonderful moments together. A lot of it ad-libbing and improvised and stuff as well. There's one particular moment. Where both of us are manning the hotel desk, the front desk, and Sarah's character walks in, and both of our heads snap up at the same time, and we both greet her at the same time, and it was this lovely little ad-libbed moment that we found, and we
Mhm.
killed ourselves laughing. That was a lovely moment.
How
Which,
long did it take for you to get through that scene? Because it was amazing.
It's pretty good, we get most of the giggles out in rehearsals.
hmm
And then, if we find something that works, by the time you've done it two or three times, it's not quite as funny to you anymore. So you
mm,
can get through it, okay? Yeah, we blow quite a few rehearsal takes. There's no question about that. And we always know, we know if we've hit the mark, if we can make the crew laugh. If the crew, if well, as soon as you hear cut and the crew breaks up laughing, you know you did something right.
Done for the day. We did our job.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Well, we have had talked both the season with John and with Sarah, and specifically about that one. And of course, immediately they were like, don't even try to have a straight face because it's not going to happen. And if we, and so I love that you said that you're like, you don't make yourself laugh as much because I, I just don't even comprehend how anybody in the comedic avenue, because it's even the thing is that you could say the same words, and of course you could have a different take with your expressions and your movement and your body language. And that was probably my favorite was you really had to watch. I've noticed since season two, you've got to watch Ronnie because what you do with his character to just like even at the tip of a hat, I'm like, love it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so glad to
Yes.
hear that. He
Yes.
is a really fun, it's a really fun character to play.
Mhm.
Um, I think some people might find him irritating, but he certainly has that side to him. But he's got a good heart, and we do see that from time to time, which I'm very grateful to the writers for. We get to see a little bit of tenderness out of Ronnie every now and then. He's coming around.
hmm
Um, and yeah, it's just there's so many great little quirky, weird things about him which just make me laugh.
So then, with somebody else's storyline, of course, we had quite a bit of romance this season.
Uh,
So, and we had a proposal. So, what was another storyline that, you were excited to see how it presented?
well, I'm a big fan of the Hanukkah and John's
Mhm.
storyline, Maggie and Sam, and it's because I like them both personally as individuals. They're lovely
hmm
people, and we seem to have more scenes together than some of the other cast. So it's just such a weird set sometimes. Like I don't think I shot with Nick. I might have had like, you know, 5 minutes of screen time with Nick the entire season, which I'm perfectly happy with because he's just too damn good looking. Uh, And he's twice my size. You know, trying to shoot a scene with both Chris and Nick. It's like these two gigantic, handsome men standing beside you, right? So, uh, well, so yes, I was happy to see the Maggie Sam thing sort of
Hmm.
play out a little bit because they're both characters that really are lovely characters and deserve happiness, right? And it's nice to see
Hmm.
them find each other. And I'm really, it was really cool this season too that we got a pastor. You know, the town got a
Hmm.
pastor. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that his first sermon took place in the hotel, which
In the
was
hotel of
very
all places,
special.
the scene of
Yeah.
all Ronnie's sins. Yeah.
He moved out from the Mountie office with every 2 seconds being the director of what the Mountie should do to not be doing the sins in the hotel. Okay, the that scene where Ronnie decides he is the agent, he is the money holder of all of the ideas that are coming and being presented to. Oh my gosh, I that I don't even know how you could get through one take, even in rehearsal with that.
Truly, truly, truly.
Yeah.
And yet we did get to see the orchids at least later, even though
I
Ronnie
know.
said no. Bye-bye.
I know. Orchids. I know. It was just great. Yeah, and the chemistry set and stuff, you know.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
that was a favorite of ours, Neil. Just the scene when
Hmm.
Sam is listening to everybody's ideas and Ronnie keeps peeking through the curtain. Okay, next. Just
Chop, 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 chop. That
He
was
so
doesn't have
great.
good.
he doesn't have time for yours. He's already said yes to me. Wink, wink.
Exactly, exactly.
So, what was your journey to When Hope Calls?
Well, David Anselmo, who's one of the producers of this show, I had worked for Dave a lot up in North Bay, shooting a lot of Hallmark Christmas movies, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And so when the opportunity to audition came up, I was happy to jump at it. And I love shooting up north. I love being up there. It's great. So it was pretty much as simple as that. It was read the character, loved the character, and you throw your hat in the ring, you audition for it, and I was fortunate enough to be cast in that role. And then even after our first season, even after all the changes we've had since then, I've said to David many times, I said, "Oh man, this is a dream show. This is the kind of show that I would like to ride into the sunset on this show. Just
Hmm.
like let's do 20 seasons, you know? I'd love it. So,
I think
Yes.
that's a universal thing that we hear. Well, we hear that for, of course, if you get a series, especially in that network with like Hallmark, Great American, and stuff, you've hit gold. And but with the ability of having that to be able to play with your friends all the time. But yeah, there's just something, especially with the fact that Alfonso has had in the Hope Valley and Brookfield world, he has three different things that all are separate on their own great, but all come together based off of his vision too. Whether it's he's there for a few seasons or if he's the showrunner specifically, for the lifetime of the show. So it's exciting as us for viewers too, to just see how it all goes together.
Yeah.
and I can't say enough about Alfonso either. He is such a lovely guy, an incredible writer, and created this wonderful character that I get to play. And one of the nicest compliments I had was one of our writers from last season, said that we love writing for your character, and
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's great to hear. And you can feel it. Like when as soon as I get a script now, lots of times as an actor, you'll pick up a script from something, whether it's an audition, whatever, and you struggle with it a little bit because the character doesn't speak the way you normally would, or it just doesn't, it's not falling off the page like it should. But when we get the scripts for When Hope Calls, they're just like, I can't wait to see them because they just get funnier and funnier from my perspective. And they keep digging these great little holes for Ronnie to try and get himself out of. So I'm very
Yeah.
grateful to our writer's room, that's for sure.
Oh, that's amazing, Neil. And since you've been playing Ronnie for quite a while now, have you kind of gotten to help shape him at all, or kind of design him a little bit, or have a little bit of writing, to Ronnie, or do the writers do it and then you just get to play?
That's a great question. I've been very fortunate in that that they've allowed me to put my own kind of layer on him in terms of his quirky little hand gestures and his eyes and stuff, and sort of animating him that way a little bit, and kind of his inflated ego and his sense of self. But it all starts with a great script, and they've created the essence of the character,
Yeah.
and we're also very lucky in that as actors when we're on set, virtually all the directors that we have had and Alfonso give us a fair bit of leeway in terms of improvising scenes with the characters, or if if I have a way to add something that's a funny little button to a scene or whatever. Very often they will give me that chance. We don't always use it, but it's always there and it's always encouraged. So I'm very grateful for that.
Mhm. What's an average day like for like the takes that you're able to take when you're not laughing through your scene? Like
Yeah.
yeah, do you guys get like is it usually like a three max in a situation like this for a series?
In terms of how do you mean by three max?
Well,
Like,
just I mean just like to get to play per scene, like are you kind of like
well,
two to
how many
three
takes?
takes and yeah, takes, yeah.
Yeah, it really all depends on the scene. It
Mhm.
could be like when we shot the big sermon scene in the hotel. Almost the whole town is in there. So poor Simon had to, he was kind of carrying the ball with this long monologue of his, and there's a lot of coverage, right? Because the camera's in there and
Mhm.
it's trying to grab everybody as the thing is. So poor Simon's got to do it over and over and over again as they change the
Mhm.
camera position. So big scenes like that take longer to shoot, obviously, and if you have screw ups in the middle of it, it just takes that much longer. But our crew and our cast are really great, and everybody comes prepared.
Mhm.
We very seldom do we have somebody stopping because, oh, I forgot my line. That rarely happens. People are right on top of it, and the crew know what they're doing, and so
Mhm.
it's our days are, we put probably a minimum of a 12-hour day in usually, but they can go a little bit longer than that, but it doesn't very often. It's a pretty efficient show.
Mhm. And when the last two seasons, when have you guys been taping? It's been like fall, correct? So
Fall
elements.
into early winter, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Up in North Bay. So
Hmm.
I'm really hoping, with this blessing of season four, that we can get up there in the nice weather because it's spectacularly beautiful in
Hmm.
this little meadow that we have turned Brookfield into the town. We built the
Hmm.
town and it's surrounded by forest and meadowland, and in the summer and the fall it's just glorious in there. The colors explode, as you guys
Hmm.
being from Minnesota would be well aware of.
Yeah.
um, and the sun, that magic hour when the sun is just going down, it looks so pretty on camera. Yeah, and it's way warmer for
Right.
for those of us who
True.
are wearing period costumes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we've seen When Calls the Heart when they've done a few panels at events we've been at, and at one point they were just kind of like, "Where's the budget for the bees to manage the bees?" Because that with summer they have that as their element, and besides the hot, and
Yeah.
then and those are just things that you really take for granted when you get to be in a studio or a house filming, and
Yeah.
so and that adds its own element of sometimes having to stop your taping in the middle of a scene when you were doing so good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
There's all kinds of things that can happen, right? Anything from
Hmm.
a snowstorm, rainstorm, whatever. I'm always glad that I'm just the actor on set. I don't have to wear the hat of a producer and have to worry about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite things about the show is the beautiful fall foliage and the fall colors. And
Hmm.
it's just, you go back and you watch and you just want to pause on certain scenes because you just notice the colors and some of
Yeah.
the wide shots that the camera does. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
we get to work with the horses too, which for me, I'm a huge animal lover. And I very often, if we have horses in a scene in between takes, I will just gravitate over to one of the horses and just be stroking his nose and talking to him because it's such a cool thing to be able to do that.
Will we ever see Ronnie on a horse? Does he have
Well,
a horse that we haven't met yet?
we did. I think it was season two, or maybe the end of season one. Oh man, they kind of blend together. Uh,
Yeah.
Wendy and I got to shoot a scene where we rode into town on horseback. And
Mm.
that was really fun. I know how to ride a horse. I've taken lessons and stuff, but it's really cool when you're able to do that. But since then, we haven't. Ronnie hasn't had, and I drove a buckboard once as well with a couple of team.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
But since then, it's been mostly about his automobiles, right? That's the
Yeah,
that's
right.
that's the big thing. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
That
Ronnie
and not
he
leaving
seems like
his
an auto
room up
guy.
at the hotel because it's his room.
That's
yeah,
yeah, that's right.
The owner's suite.
the sweet. Oh yeah.
All is well that ends well, but oh my
Oh
gosh,
man,
a whole
isn't,
season of who gets to stay there.
isn't
That's the
that
best.
goofy? I know. Oh, man.
The
And
whole season of where does
you
Ronnie
can just
live?
imagine what the scene must have been like with Ronnie and Joe sharing, an apartment. It must have-
Yeah, I kind of feel a little bit gypped.
I do too. We would have loved to see that.
There's only so many spaces that they
I
can make.
know, I know, I know.
Oh, yes. Oh, well, Neil, what is your favorite thing about Ronnie?
I think what I like most about Ronnie, or what is my favorite thing about him, is his. I think it's his harmlessness.
Hmm.
He's goofy and weird, and he's kind of self-aggrandizing, and he's got a very low self-esteem, I think. So he overcompensates like crazy,
Hmm.
and he's always scheming and stuff. But in his heart of hearts, there is a sweet man in there. I always pictured him as sort of growing up. He was the last guy to get picked, to play
Hmm.
football or whatever. And so he was kind of a lonely guy, and then he's been trying to make himself feel important ever since then. Um,
Hmm.
but again, I think he's very harmless and actually very kind and very decent. And he occasionally throughout the show we have seen him do some wonderful moments and things that have real hearts. And I love being given those opportunities to play that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think is the secret magic to having comedic timing? Because you are a natural at it.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Um, it's one of those slippery fishes, right? Where it's just, I think it's something you either have or don't have. I
Hmm.
wish I could explain it. It's very rhythmic. Um, I have a lot of training in improvisation, and one of the main tenets of improvisation is listening. Just
Hmm.
be there and be present and listen to what's going on. Pay attention so that you can leap in if you have to.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a funny thing to try to pin that down in one sentence or something because it's different for everybody too. And then there's
Hmm.
physical comedy on top of all of that. But I think it is a very rhythmical thing. It's almost a music to a funny line or to a joke. I think that's a big
Hmm.
part of it.
Mhm.
Nope,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. Like you, and there are things that you one of my favorite things I've had the opportunity to do is see comedy with four cam or multi-camera comedies, and that and when they can tell that that joke doesn't hit for whatever purpose, even if it's hit for that week of rehearsal and the audience is like, huh, and to it's just the magic of seeing the comeback between the writers, and then I've watched and the actors talking about it, or if they'll just pitch it with that different little tune. And so yeah, I just find it all magical because it's definitely think on your feet, and that's a little difficult for some of us. I'm like
And
as I'm
it's
trying to
it's
think about it.
it's very collaborative too, right? I mean, there's so
Hmm.
much when you're in a scene with somebody, like when John and I are working together. There's so much of it is a give and take. He'll
Hmm.
do something, and I'll see a gleam in his eye, and I'll know something's going to happen or whatever. So yeah, there's always that give and take thing going on as well. Comedy doesn't work nearly as well if you constantly have to be the person getting the laughs.
Mm,
you want to be, on the receiving end, but also the giving end as well. So
hmm.
that's there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we love the dynamic of Sam and Ronnie. They're really kind of like the Bert and Ernie of When Hope Falls. We just love we just adore them so much. So now that Sam and Maggie are engaged, do you think Ronnie will, try to be wedding planner at all?
I wonder. I mean, yeah, anything can happen, of course, and I'm sure he'd want to have a
Yeah.
hand in it, as long as Sam has money.
Yeah.
That's a lesson,
You're
a
paying for it.
lesson, a lesson Ronnie still needs to learn. Um,
Yeah.
I'd be very curious. I mean, what is something I've been thinking about lately was, what's Ronnie's sort of like, how lonesome is he, and would he
Hmm.
be on the lookout for somebody, and who could possibly be a good match for him? Who would want to be with him? I mean,
Plenty of women. Yeah.
Like you said, he's
Women love a man with a good sense of humor. So
oh, that's good.
he's just
well,
He's got
fine.
a chance
well,
then. He's
like
got a
you
chance.
said, there is those terms of endearment when he's not being like my way or the highway, and so yeah, absolutely. And uh, it has been a while since I've done a full rewatch. I will say that. But what do we really know about Ronnie's past?
We don't know too much about his past, really. I mean, I've kind of inferred things, like
Mm-hmm.
as I was telling you earlier. I think he's just that guy who has always just been trying so hard
Yeah.
to have friends, and to find out who he really is and what's important. He still has a lot of life lessons to learn, clearly,
Mm-hmm.
um, about what really counts in life and things like that. I would say, Tess is probably one person who knows him better than most people. And she's always been a very steadying influence on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he needs somebody. It would be fun to see him with somebody that he could be fully vulnerable with, and you get to
Absolutely.
really see what's inside him. What's driving him.
Well, I
Yes.
just can't remember if he had had like a wife that he had lost or along those lines kind of a thing. And if that isn't in any cards right now, it should be because
Yeah,
like you said, that's now that we've got four, hopefully going on 20, there's so much material to be able to dive into.
yeah.
So
There's lots of good
absolutely.
stuff there. Yeah, who knows? I mean, there's never been any mention of any kind of a relationship prior to this.
Hmm.
So most of his devotion has been applied to money and the acquisition thereof. So
So
Well,
not going to get past the fact what made you swoon? Sam's money.
right.
you know what they say, money can't buy love.
That's right. You can try. Yeah.
It might get you kicked off the council or or what your
Right?
suggestions like those are some of my favorite is when especially with how Jefferson plays his part too with how just like what am I doing here especially because Ronnie's got it.
Yeah, right.
And those scenes, those council scenes are great. Because I personally love them because when we get to work with all the other actors around the table, we
Hmm.
have so much fun. There was a scene in, I guess it was season two, where we were shooting one, and we were in the hotel at the time, and our first AD, who's just a lovely man, Rocco Gismondi, and Rocco was sitting up on the stairs, and because he was kind of watching from there as we were shooting our scene on the ground at the hotel, and but halfway through one of my lines, I think Rocco just shifted his weight on the stairs, and it sounded like so
Hmm.
like it sounded like somebody farted.
Hmm.
I
There's no denying that.
I just fell apart. And then I made contact with Jonathan Potts, who was sitting over there. He started to go, and then it took us about 4 or 5 takes to finally get stuff back under wraps because it's just so you're like kids, right? You're like kids
Hmm.
around a table and you're having fun, and that's one of the reasons that I love actors, is because actors haven't forgotten how to play. So
Right.
it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and I'd love to see more. And I know that, what they brought in people in the younger generations to work in the hotel, and
Yeah.
things like that. But those interactions, I think that just shows a different side too. And of course, what Ronnie can learn from the different generations too is that's definitely more something I like to see in play.
Yeah, and
Because
that's a great dynamic. I too would like to see more of that as well because it's great. I think he's the kind of character that could learn from a younger person, right? And especially because he doesn't have a ton of friends, and so he's when he meets somebody who genuinely is caring, I think he opens himself up to that, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, even the season 2 finale with Ronnie and Dolores.
Dolores with the
Right.
fireworks.
They were doing the
yes.
fireworks. That was just so fun because separately, I would never put those two characters together, but
Yeah.
it was so cute and just so sweet.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, they're putting on this fireworks show and it's working.
Yeah, it's great. There was at that point in time we were both ageless, right? We were just like
Hmm.
two people taking a great amount of delight in this thing that we were doing. Yeah. Well, that's the genius of Alfonso Moreno, right? I mean, that's it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if Ronnie was living in present day, what do you think he would be doing? Do you think he'd still be in the hotel business?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, quite possibly, being a hotelier, I'm sure that's in his blood. Um, either that or, he'd be like, I don't know, a Broadway actor or so or
Oh,
something.
yes,
I mean,
please. We would absolutely see that show.
Well, that or another thing I could see is like being somebody who is the one who works with cars to introduce the new and upcoming thing that's coming out. So I don't know if
yes.
that would technically be like the owner of the, like dealership kind of thing, but I could totally see him being like the
Yeah.
showman of all of the new
Yeah,
of
I
all
think
the new
that's
toys.
that's the
Yes.
word right there. Yeah, showman. There is definitely an element of showmanship to anything Ronnie does. That's a great word for it, actually. Yeah.
And then now he's found new ways to use Sam's money, the new automobile. Oh, he'd be, a boat. I'm just trying to think now. We got lots of things.
Oh yeah.
Lots of John. So John said that he would love to see all the Mounties get together from all the different shows and then work on, and it would go really dark because they would be doing an underground poker ring. And I could see Ronnie coming in and breaking that up because he wasn't invited to play.
That's right. Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Or he would want in to
Yeah.
win more.
I mean, that's why he'd want in because
Right.
but he's like not having fun without me, gentlemen.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh, well, we kind of just took a peek at your resume, Neil, and got to look at all the projects that you've been a part of, and you really have an incredible and vast resume.
Thank
So,
you.
is there a specific role that so far has had the biggest impact on you, or a role that just really changed your life?
I've been very lucky. I mean, I've had so many great opportunities on film and television. I mean, in terms of shows that I loved to do, this show right here actually is one of Little Mosque on the Prairie. We were fortunate enough to do 6 seasons of that show, and I think it was an important show. It was it told people, showed us how we can all get along. And the character that I was playing in that show was kind of this redneck, blustery, shock jock radio host who was always, trying to get people riled up against these Muslims, and but again, he was kind of a lovable character as well. He was a dope and a loudmouth, but there was something about him that was he was learning lessons as we and I think the show did that. One of the memories I have of a time when we were shooting that show, I was in downtown Toronto with some friends having a dinner at an Indian restaurant, and I noticed that at the table beside us there was a young a Muslim family. The mom had her hijab on, a pretty little girl who was about 7 or 8 years old, and the dad.
Mhm.
And we were talking as friends, and all of a sudden I noticed I turned and the little girl is standing right beside me, and with her dad is behind her with his hands on her shoulders. And he said, "Go ahead, honey, you tell him what you wanted to say." And
Mhm.
she looks at me and she goes, I really like you on your TV show. And I
Oh.
thought, wow. I said, you like Fred Tupper? You know, I thought, and that was when I think I realized that we were doing something kind of important on that show, you know, in
Mhm.
a very subtle, hopefully funny way.
Mhm.
So again, that was another one of those shows that very much like When Hope Calls, it never for a moment felt like work. It was just an
Mhm.
absolute joy to be on set. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
What year did that run?
Oh man, now I gotta do math. Um, you know, somebody mentioned it to me the other day that it had been it's been over 15 years ago that that show
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
wherever that puts us, back in 2000, mid 2000s or something, I don't know.
I was going to go back to the 90s. Apparently, I'm way trying to. It's like how people say you've graduated so many years. I'm like, no, I haven't. I'm
Yeah,
still 22.
I know, I know.
Exactly. Yes, always.
And it just the older you get, the faster it goes. Let me tell you. Oh man.
Oh, it's so fast. But no, that I mean, just to that's what I love is there are just some shows, and it sounds like this is one that is just a timeless because the lessons that it teaches are always there, and then you're going to find it's always fun when a show finds a new audience too. So I wasn't sure if it was anything that could still be found out in the streaming world or not.
Yeah, in fact, I just found out that I heard this a little while ago, like last week. I think Netflix has picked up Little Mosque, and they are now streaming it.
Well,
Oh,
there we
oh
go.
yeah, we have to watch.
That's pretty cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Here's me.
Oh,
I'm the dodo with I love TV and movies, and it never dawned on me that like because Canada because for us, jokingly, like we're neighbors,
Yeah.
so you always just think that it's all encompassed in one. So when I started learning about all these shows that take place in Canada that we haven't heard or seen, I'm like, what the heck kind of world is this? So there's a whole
down
avenue to
here.
explore.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Like it's not like Friends. Not everything's universal where every language and every country knows it.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, no, I'll definitely
I
check
think
that
I
out.
think the
Yeah.
Canadian sensibility too, is probably because of the latitude that that where we live lies on. I mean Minnesotans, probably share a lot of the same kind of sensibilities as a lot of Canadians do. Right?
Hmm.
You guys are up on
Yeah.
that border, yeah.
Well, I went up to Vancouver to go see the set of when Calls the Heart. I went to Hardy's family reunion, and I mean, for me to say that that's up north just cracks me up because our Lake Superior is up north. But I couldn't just say Vancouver. I was like up north. But I've been to Toronto numerous times, and you fly south to go to
Yeah,
Toronto from
yeah,
Minneapolis, and
Mhm.
so it's just like it just doesn't compute to me. I don't
yeah.
know why, but it doesn't. Toronto is gorgeous. I love Toronto. It's just
It's
a
a
it's a
lovely
fun
city.
happening town.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is. Yeah, I grew up in Toronto. When my children were born, I moved. I started to move further and further north, and
Mhm.
I realized that how much I love being in the country.
Hmm.
And I have now always sort of lived on or around a lake somewhere. It just is my thing. Yeah, but I love going
Not
in.
a big and a cabin is called a cottage up there,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
Oh,
Go
I
figure.
think cottage, I think England. So
right,
that's what
Yeah,
right.
that's one of those
Same.
one of those weird cultural things. I know you guys have cabins, we have cottages.
yep. And basically in Minnesota, if you don't have a cabin or know somebody with a cabin, you're kind of really, not a cool person. That's
Yeah.
the honest truth.
Who are you? You're no one. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. If you're not saying you're going up to the cabin for Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend, who
I
are you?
know.
What is wrong with you? Yes.
Yeah.
We just pretend we know people with
Yeah.
cabins and be
Right,
like, eh,
right.
I mean, what's
Exactly.
the
okay.
point of having all those lakes after all, right? That's it.
Right, right.
Well, but like we established, winter 99% of the time, if you're not an ice fisher, what's the point of having a cabin?
Or having winter,
But it's so icy. We don't want to ride. I hibernate. I might as well be a bear. Once snow hits, I hibernate for the next 6 months and do Zooms and hang out on podcasts.
I hear you. I hear you.
The
So
airing of When Hope Calls is perfect for us.
yes, yeah, we appreciate all of our prairie shows that make us want to be outside. When Calls the Heart started in January. You guys came in, and Hope Valley came in April through the spring, and then we're ready to be outside again. So it's perfect for
It's
us.
perfect. Yes.
So you've also done some teaching of drama and English. So what is it about teaching that resonates with you, and do you get to stay in touch with any of your students?
I really do. Yeah. I mean, I taught for almost 3 years, and I was very young. I think I was 25 years old when I first started teaching, and I had kids in my when I first year of teaching that were, in grade 13. We had grade 13 back then,
Mm.
um, who were 19, 18, 19 years of age. So the gap between us was very, very small. And
Hmm.
I still have friends, friends of mine now that were students of mine, and I'm still in touch with them. And it's so weird for me because they're now, they're in their 50s and they have children, grown children. And I think, where the heck did that time go? But that was a wonderful time for me. I remember the day that I left teaching because Second City had hired me as an improviser and a comic. So I left teaching to become a full-time performer. And the first morning that I didn't go in to teach, I remember sitting in the basement apartment that my wife and I lived in at the time, just bawling my eyes out because I was so worried about my kids. I thought, who's gonna look after, who's gonna be there with them, and I felt like I'd sold them out, and yeah, that was a tough decision to make. I mean, I think it was the right decision to make, but it was I loved my career as a teacher, no question.
Do you think you'd ever teach again someday?
You know what? I don't think I would. I think the job has changed so much between that was back in 1985 when I was my
Love
first
the
year.
80s.
Yeah. So
Yes.
between now and then, it has changed so much, and it's become so sort of litigious and very, teachers have to be so careful. I'm sure I would have been fired, because I used to hug my kids all the time and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and you can't do that stuff anymore, and
Hmm.
so, um, yeah, I think it's a very, very difficult job now, and they've taken a lot of the fun out of it, I think. So kudos to people who are still doing it and doing it well, because it's a very important job.
Mm. Oh, and I was a preschool teacher for 10 years. So
Hmm.
I had the younger generation. So I actually don't know. My running joke is my nephew is kind of my work in progress as a trainee who just turned 13, and he's now in his teenage years and doesn't want, not as I'm still not, I'm cool auntie, but I'm still like, like I called him on his birthday. He's like, what? And I was like,
Yeah,
what do you mean,
what?
what? And because after five, I really like he was my training and how to really hang out and interact with them. But yeah, there was just something even in those 10 years that I went into events because there was just there used to be creativity in that job,
Mhm.
of all things, arts and all that type of stuff, and all of that kind of had went away too. So I actually got I'm very thankful for the families I got to keep in contact with, but there was a difference that I was kind of like, this isn't for me, whether it was, parent teacher conferences or
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
things that you couldn't do anymore. And
yeah,
that was over 18 years ago too. So a lot of things has changed. Brennan works in the school district.
I
So he
do.
does know.
Do
Yeah.
you
I,
teach
I
then?
don't I don't teach. I work in a local district here in the Twin Cities, and I work in the office, but I've always been just a huge fan and lover of education. I was a drama kid myself. I did drama in middle school, high school, and even a little bit in college. So English and the arts were always
Yeah.
my number one, and they still are. That's why I love these shows, and Catherine and I get to do this together, and the
Mhm.
media part of it, I'm really thankful for, and just being able to connect and
Yeah.
streaming, and it's just more worlds are opening, which
Yeah.
are great.
Yeah, the arts are very important. I'm a big reader too. It's one of my
Hmm.
favorite things. Books and stories and all that stuff. We would die without all that stuff. It's so vital to who we are.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely. And we're very blessed here. We have a very, I mean, I think at one point, I'm not quite sure if we're still there, but Minneapolis, St. Paul was like really, it was New York, LA, and then we were kind of like the mini Apple, they used to call us.
Hmm.
So we've had some plays, like I want to say The Lion King actually debuted in Minneapolis before it went to Broadway. So
Wow.
we're very fortunate that we've been able to have a very vibrant scene in that.
Yeah.
And I do feel, I mean, we're both of us are not that far away, and yet we still very rarely go. And it's kind of like there's an element that I really need to get back into that because
Yeah.
especially live theater, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Yeah. And
true.
I'm like you too. I'm at the point now where it's like it's very easy for me to stay at home in my
Hmm.
little cocoon, with my, my lovely wife and our books and our TV set. But when you do push yourself out the door to go see theater, it's life changing. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Mhm.
I don't think the people appreciate behind me when I sing Wicked, but other than that, the
Be
rule of
loud
thumb
and
is
proud, girl.
don't know the music before you go because it's hard for me not to at least hum it.
As you should.
Yes, as you should.
If you don't know the music, why are you there?
Well, I always say, especially in theater, it's really beneficial to see things like three times, if you have the ability to. I mean, I've done it over a course of years, but like the first time is just that awe everything. The second time, especially in a musical, you've now bought the CD or listened on iTunes, so you've got the music down, so you're excited about that because that makes sense. And the third time, then you probably hear the dialogue in a different way that
Yeah,
you didn't because now you've gotten the music down.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's very true. That's not a bad idea at all. Yeah, there's lots to be learned every time you go.
Yeah, and it's never the same show, even if it is the same show.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right. True.
yep.
True.
There's my lesson for the day, teacher.
I love it. I love it.
So do you have
Oh,
any other projects you can tease that you have coming up
I
besides
just
the
finished
season 4?
working on a mini series, an 8-part mini series called Cry Wolf. I got to work with the lovely and beautiful Olivia Colman, who is I'm a huge fan of Olivia's. And it's a very dark mini series. It has to do with with child abuse and the investigation of that kind of thing. And it's twisty and it's mysterious and going to be a really good show. And so that was a huge departure from When Hope Calls and Ronnie Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing an assistant district attorney in this one, so I'm looking forward to seeing that come out as well. That's got Brie Larson and Sean Hattasey, who is nobody's hotter than Sean right now. And so that was great. It was really fun to work with those guys.
I feel bad. I don't know who that is. I know who the two ladies are.
Well, if you watch The Pit at all, have you seen The Pit?
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
I know of it, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Sean
okay.
is like the sort of heartthrobby
Mm.
guy who works
Gotcha.
the night shift at the Pit. He's a marvelous actor. He's got a huge resume and he's terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
That show is on my list. Everybody who sees it just raves about it. And
Oh,
so, but
that's some really good television. Yeah, it's edge of your seat stuff. It's pretty good.
yeah, I
Wow.
like the idea that it all takes place in a 24-hour window per
I know.
episode.
That's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah,
Mhm.
just wild.
Can you tease at all, Neil, where Cry Wolf will be streaming or coming out?
Disney is producing it, believe it or
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm sure it'll be on their service. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Which would
We'll
mean
add that to the
Hulu.
list.
What's
Perfect.
that? Sorry?
It would mean Hulu because they partner with Hulu.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, Disney. I find it a very interesting combination. Disney Plus, National Geographic, if I'm not mistaken, ESPN, and Hulu all merged together, and, and and give us some of my favorite things to watch. So
There
I
you
love
go.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Neil, obviously our podcast is the Rom-Com podcast. We love rom-com. So do you have a favorite rom-com?
A favorite rom-com. I'm trying to think. I love. Oh man, what would I think? I'm gonna go way back on this one. This is probably. I don't even know if you ladies would even remember this film. Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn
Mm.
in a film called Roman Holiday.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's one of my all-time faves.
Oh,
Love the ending in that picture. Two of my most favorite actors in the world, and I love black and white films too for
yeah.
some reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
Absolutely. Great
if
choice.
you could go back and not revise, what's the word? Redo, I don't know, recreate. Sorry, I'm totally out of my words today. One of those classic movies, what movie would you love to have started or in a remake?
oh wow. Well, I think of films like It's a Wonderful Life,
Yes.
which I
Hmm.
watch every Christmas. I rewatch that film, and it's still wonderful. And
Mhm.
another Gregory Peck film that is probably my favorite movie of all time, and also my favorite book, and I read it at least once every couple of years, To Kill a Mockingbird. Uh,
Oh,
just
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
marvelous,
Yeah.
Mhm.
marvelous film. Yeah.
Mhm. So good.
I don't know who I would play in those.
Yeah, when I was in you would do Gregory Peck's character. We
Absolutely.
yeah, we I don't know, at least when I was in school, that was in our high school that was required reading, and then we did watch we got to watch the movie afterwards in high
Yeah.
school.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
everything's changed so much. Like I asked this generation and things like, are you guys, and they're like, what? So
I
I
know.
forget that every generation doesn't get to experience things that are
Yeah.
so important, especially in the media and in real life history.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
still remember
That's
that
why they
day.
call them classics, right? That's why they're classics. Like, they're timeless.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who would a dream co-star of yours be?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh boy. Dream co-star. Well, I was fortunate enough in my earlier days of acting. I had a small role in a film with Julie Andrews, and I had been in love with Julie Andrews ever since the first time I saw Sound of Music. Right,
Yeah.
Hmm.
she's so beautiful and so funny and such a beautiful voice. And it was on my first day on set on this movie, and I was sitting down on a bench or something at the edge of the set, and I was just kind of going over my lines and looking at it, and somebody came in and sat down beside me, and I didn't pay much attention to the person until I heard this voice say, "Oh, I wonder if we're ready to begin yet." And I looked over and said, "Oh my God, it's Julie. She's right beside me." And that was like, yeah, I just hope I didn't make too much of an idiot of myself because I'm sure I was just falling over myself and making Google eyes at her. But she was every bit as lovely as I'd hoped she would be. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I love Julie Andrews. Oh my goodness, what a dream.
What's
Wow.
not to love, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, when did you start acting, Neil? Did you start very young? I mean, were you a kid or young adult?
Yeah, I think I was always kind of class clowny.
Mm.
I used to love to
Mm.
entertain the rest of the class.
Yeah.
And I think I did my first play and I was 11. We did a musical version of Cinderella in my public school, and I played the king.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
and that was, I think, when I was first bitten by that bug. And then, all throughout high school, I did a lot of comedy. I had a buddy of mine, and we were always doing sketches at assemblies and stuff like that. And and then and then fell into improv after university, and that's when I really fell in love with that particular art form, and that did so much
Mhm.
for my career.
mm,
Um, it got me noticed by Second City, and that helped launch my career.
mm.
And it was 1987 when I left teaching and
Mm.
became a full-time performer. So it's been a long time. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Many, many wonderful projects.
Well, I've
So,
been very blessed. I've been very, very lucky, and I love what I do. I really do.
Mhm.
well, we again are just so thrilled and excited for season 4 of When Hope Calls.
Me
Uh,
too.
are there any other, wild hopes and dreams that you have for your character, Ronnie?
Oh man. Well, the sky's the limit. I mean, I
Mhm.
think it would be fun to see him in some kind of relationship. Uh,
Mhm.
Yes.
that would be very
Yes.
interesting, and I think certainly a wonderful comic mind, to be mined. That's for
Mhm.
sure. To see him in a domestic situation, whatever that would
Mhm.
be. Yeah, that might be a really fun way to go on that one. Yeah,
We would love that. Well, maybe he'll have a wedding date.
you never know. You never know.
Yes, after he's planned the wedding, he'll have a wedding date.
Yes, he'll
Yes.
do his own wedding.
Yeah, right. You know what? I'll just get married.
You could totally see him being the one who'd be like, "No, that's not what you want," and he's planning his own wedding. He just doesn't know he's planning his own wedding.
Yes.
That's exactly what I could see with Ronnie.
Yes, completely.
Well, we will definitely wait with anxious breath to see what's next. And
Yeah,
thank you so much for spending this time with us. This was great to be able to chat and visit.
it was delightful. Thank you both. I've had a wonderful time. The time has flown by here. Yeah,
Oh, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it has. I know. I looked at it. I said 40 minutes, and here we're at 52. So,
beautiful.
but hey, when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So
Well, let's do it again sometime. Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
we would love that.
Yeah, we will definitely have you come back and talk about all the season four shenanigans. And anytime you are welcome. So thank you
Sounds
so
good.
much for joining us.
Okay, guys. Have a great evening. Be well. Say hi to Minnesota for me.
Oh,
Will
yes.
do. You say
Lovely.
hi to Ontario for us.
I
Yes.
Of course.
will. I will.
Bye.
So
Thank
much.
Cheers.
you.